We reconvene. All in favor? Thank you. Okay. That's okay. So we haven't quite finished on the town hall meeting. So what were you actually looking for, Jeff? Do we need a motion, or recommendation, or a date, or if you've got
a date or a range of dates that you want it to be in, and if there's any specific format?
I'd say October.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, pursuant to that idea of a year out from the next election and promoting that, I think that's great. I've recently been studying some policies in other municipalities where they're trying to promote, and it's kind of growing. Just in the last 3 years, a lot of Alberta municipalities have been releasing policies, and I was thinking maybe it's something we might want to consider eventually in Cardston, sooner rather than later, is some inclusive policies on getting more females involved in municipal governments. And so that might be a good idea to, do our part, encourage, and maybe publicly say that will be something that is discussed at that, Q&A or whatever.
See, they did that at last year's AUMA.
AUMA sessions.
And we had a motion to that effect last year.
Right.
I think just in general terms, I think it's really good that we have a good idea to do this. Again, it goes with our transparency.
Right.
I would prefer to see something more in November than even October.
Oh, really?
Well, we got AUMA in October.
Yeah,
September
the end of November we got community awareness. And somebody suggested that the community awareness does it, but I don't know if community awareness.
I don't think it does.
So, along with community awareness, it's already used in this room. So I thought maybe we could piggyback on that, but it's already used in this room for the youth, right? So it doesn't work well. So we need to have a separate.
Has to be a separate meeting.
From that night.
It might be nice to do it like a week later and use community awareness to push people to the town hall.
Okay.
Could we do it on a
invite?
How about a CCW night on the first of November, and then we just stay late and entertain
First
questions?
of November.
I mean, pardon? Well, the first Tuesday in November.
Mayor's birthday.
Pardon?
It's the mayor's birthday.
Oh, the mayor, happy birthday! Well, we'll bring a cake. And then we'll invite all of the town to come and help the mayor celebrate your birthday.
Political awareness.
That sounds like a good
It just so happens November 1st is a Tuesday.
Oh, there you go. It is a birthday. It's a party.
Well, that would be.
It's officially a party.
And then we could promote.
Tell Don the cake was paid for by the town. He's off the hook this year.
Promote women in politics and say, look, what a great example we've got.
That's right. That's right.
We've got a wonderful mayor.
Come celebrate, right?
Celebrate. I don't know. That's
Put the nightmare in the cake.
But,
go ahead.
going a little further than just women in politics, I would really like to see Cardston population represented a little bit better. Because honestly, we have an element of a First Nation in our town. 1 out of 7 is First Nation, with no representation at the table. That is odd, but I understand why.
Anyway,
Just an observation.
I mean,
Well, you can lead a horse to water, you can't force them to drink,
that's right.
right?
We can.
In any kind of.
But the same thing is,
We
you
can
want to encourage
create-
women, you want to encourage women across the spectrum.
Well, I mean, I'm even just glad to have like Councillor Peavoy at the table, because how often have we seen councillors with young families actually represented on council? Not very often, and so I'm really glad that we have like Councillor Peavoy.
And still having them.
I'm a minority.
But anyway, so
Council.
we're looking. So we're saying October, November is the time frame.
Possibly after
CCW on November 1st.
CCW, yeah.
Okay, well, that was my suggestion. So
Well, there you go.
and then we just leave administration to help, or we can work with council to get topics and things.
You mean have it the same night as?
Just have a really short CCW
Yeah.
that's,
And then the
We
meeting
just have a
after.
short
you know, not
CCW
4.5 hours long, just
I know,
something that's.
yeah.
And I'll be in charge.
Please, give me kind.
You'll be in charge.
Yeah, okay, good. He'll be on.
No meetings till we're out.
Good call, Dave.
There you go. Okay,
Should have had you as deputy mayor the whole time.
good. Well, let's,
He's learned.
we got enough on that, Jeff, then we can go on to Historical Society, Councillor Bengry.
What I need to bring up, and I'd like the council to review and take a serious look at it, is the manning and the step students and whatever for the museum and the card home. We've been granted one step student. Council previously to this honored us with a possibility of 3. I can remember sitting in a council and 3 came up. All of a sudden we're down to 1. Our concerns as a historical society is how do we keep a museum open and running for the public to see, and also the public to go through the card home, which is located right on Main Street. I know that our attendance at the museum is not up to where it qualifies for a full-time employee. But at the same token, if we put a sign on the front door of the museum by appointment only, you're not going to get anybody. And so I'm asking council if they will open up and give us even one more, paid employee at our card home museum. And it puts a lot of onus on the board and the historical society to offer people to go down there and man the card home, man the museum. I was just talking to Councillor Edmonds, and I think that we could schedule it out if we had another step student or whatever, to run the museum. I think the museum is very important to have open. When you come to town, we have a historical museum. It's the first courthouse, original courthouse in Alberta. It's still standing. Chautauqua is going to be a big drive on the courthouse because we're having 2 mock trials that day. And that's going to be a big thing. I can't see coming into a community this size, seeing a sign saying, directing to the museum, driving up and see a closed sign on the museum. That is our concern as a historical society.
Okay. So right now.
We have 1 volunteer
Okay.
and 1 step student.
So is that, you have Mrs. Burt down?
She's not a volunteer,
She's
she's paid.
a paid,
Yeah,
Is she paid worker?
yeah.
and then you have 1 step
And then you have
student
one
on
step
top of her.
Right.
But you've got nobody for the,
But that's historically been the staffing level of the museum for,
and it's been a burden historically.
Yeah, sure.
Well, we did used to get 2 step students, but then the government cut it back.
yeah, so how I understand it, yeah, you're correct. But irrespective, the Historical Society is always hired 2. And Rita isn't a volunteer anymore, she's being paid. So if Rita was a volunteer, they'd have money to hire another student. But the Historical Society is hiring Rita. So we give them so much budget a year, they can hire whoever they want. So they're choosing 1 student this year and Rita this year. But again, if Rita was volunteering, they could hire another student. But she takes that other half of the labor money.
Yeah.
So there was a choice
But
to
it
make.
is a,
So there was a letter from Diane Barnes about having 3, and we brought that to council. And then the election of the board happened, and the direction was to see what the board wanted following the election with the new president and everything. And when we visited with Daryl, he said, we'll just have 2. So we gave him budget to hire 2 seasonal people. One of them has to be Rita, so she's not a student. But 1 has to be a student because we got a step student awarded to us, right? So 1 has to be, or we don't get the money. So I'm not sure, it's not out of the ordinary as to what it has been in the past. I get it's not ideal, but that's getting to be a lot of labor to throw at the Historical Society too.
It's been a difficult situation to get the volunteers to go, and you can't, there's a safety factor too. Last year, Rita had several instances where they're at the card home.
Or approached violence.
Yeah, it came that close, and so you have to have two people there all the time. You can't take one of those people and bring them up to the museum, because like Councillor Bengry is saying, appointment only, you can't do that. You've got to have that, it's got to be open. And so you need to have, I guess one of my concerns is, and I'm going to throw this out, I've been museum hopping for the last month and a half, different communities. And their town councils are all on board, and they're all hiring people. They have a good contingent of volunteers, but they also have a good contingent of paid staff. And I don't know whether they have a friends of their museum or what, I don't know. But when we've told them we only had step student and one paid position there, I don't know, how do you do that? You get so much information up there. I mean, we have a museum here that's got a lot of artifacts. It's a good old building. We have a story to tell this community, and I think that we're shorting ourselves by not telling the story properly. I think it needs to be, and you can't always expect all volunteers to do it. There's got to be, I think there should be a paid staffer there. That's just my opinion.
Okay, thank you.
When I see what's going on in the past, and I heard the arguments, yeah, the Historical Society is running it, it's their baby and all that, I understand that. But it still doesn't solve the issue.
Okay, appreciate that.
So my concerns are kind of twofold here. One, we can't just get another step student.
Right.
Okay, step grants are done. We got what we got. That's what we got. Two, we've set budget. So where does suddenly another, where are you going to take that money from? Where does it suddenly occur from? After having just done some visiting down in Nashville, I was disappointed with some of the historical sites because they don't have anything there.
Yeah.
A lot of them are in terrible, terrible shape. Ours is not in terrible shape, but you're right, Councillor. Is there more that could be done? Absolutely. But are we prepared to raise taxes for everybody to pay for it? Because the money's got to come from someplace, and at some point, that's really what we're talking about.
Yep.
I know how difficult it is getting to be able to find volunteers for things. Every single one of our organizations in town are crying out because they can't find volunteers. And I just don't know that at this point, especially after when they were specifically asked, and I get it, the new president in there maybe made a wrong decision.
Oh,
but
he didn't have enough information.
didn't have enough information at that point, but that was the information that came to council.
But I have something else I want to say, because I've gone through the notes, I've gone through the minutes. We did agree to have three paid people at one time, and then the pool came back and said that they needed another student, so arbitrarily we took away one from the Historical Society and gave it back to the pool. So that's in the notes. I've read it, I've gone over it several times. We made a resolution, we passed it in council that they were going to get three. But I don't ever remember a resolution saying that we were going to give one of those to the pool and take it back. And that's where I've been kind of a little upset over that.
Councillor Edmonds, you sit on the board, how do you feel?
Well, our volunteers we have more members to the museum than we've ever had. But we have less volunteers.
That's a problem.
And people, see, the problem is, for somebody to sign up to go every Tuesday for 3 hours every week is quite a commitment, because it ties up your whole summer.
Yeah.
Because you've got to be there or you're going to get a replacement. And trying to get a replacement is even harder than going there yourself. And we're finding that in other organizations that people just don't have the time that they used to have, because they've got so many other commitments to family and to work and everything else. So can we operate with what we have? Maybe. But is the museum going to be open all the time? No.
And it's a shame.
I mean, I really hear you on that. I mean, I'm not sure that I have a solution, given what, Councillor Barfuss says about, where do we get the money from, the budget?
Yeah,
and,
well, getting back to that, as I said, we passed the resolution, and we had a motion.
Can you give me some information on that, because that's, I don't.
Go back into, I think it was February the 27th, I can't remember exactly the date, but anyway, we had this discussion, we did approve 3 staff. And you'll remember that the next week, Jeff came back and said that Doug had changed his mind and decided that he needed to have that other. And so
Okay.
that staff person was taken away from the museum, and it wasn't done by a vote of council.
Well,
No, we voted for that change.
Hold on.
You had to vote.
if you remember the conversation, it was Councillor Peavoy who raised the issue that the pool better reconsider the staffing because of security issues.
I remember that
And
conversation.
we only had a limited pool of students. So it was, what do we do in order to have so many hundreds of kids every day looked after properly? Doug never had to look at it because he's kind of new at it. So this time, he took a second look at it and felt that security and safety of kids would be well served with an extra student. So that's what happened. How we resolved that at the table, I can't remember. You said we didn't pass a motion. It's
I've not
quite
been able to
possible.
find it in anything else.
It's quite possible, I do not know. But I remember Councillor Peavoy initiated the change.
That was the night that we had the conversation that we were going to have the 3, because I remember Councillor Peavoy saying, what if? And that was what the conversation was.
But it
That
was
very
then,
night that we voted to give them 3.
it was to direct administration afterwards to look at it a second time.
I suggested that we needed another guard down at the pool because of the water slides.
Yeah, that's right.
And
Yeah.
Doug, our pool operator, had gone right past him. And then when our CAO approached him and said, hey, you've got
Yeah.
water slide demand, have you thought about that? Oh, gee, I never even thought about
But
that.
we definitely need that person down there.
Exactly.
Don't get me wrong.
But we only
We
had
do.
so many that we applied
Yeah.
for STEP program,
Yeah.
right?
How much is a step student worth? I mean, what is the,
It's not
what is
cheap.
the wages that they're given? What's the
Well, the
grant?
split.
Well, the government gives you X number of dollars.
Yeah, what's the X number?
$7 an hour for 37 hours a week.
It's not even minimum wage.
Well, but then the town covers the difference.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So what would be?
It's about 50%.
It'd be the whole cost, it would be.
Half.
Yeah,
It's
you're not talking about a
half.
step student, you're
Yeah,
talking about a
I realize.
$15 an hour position.
I guess it boils down to, what does this council feel their commitment to the Historical Society, specifically the museum is? You know, that's where I'm coming from. Are we committed to just continue to let it be volunteers, and if we can't get them, then
Well,
it fizzles out?
I think what it boils down to is, what is this council? How concerned are the council about the longevity of the museum?
Exactly.
All right. Councillor Peavoy, did you have a comment?
Yeah, that was my question. I was going to ask administration what it would cost anybody, but in this case, they're asking the town to pay, but what it would cost to have a student or whatever down there, I don't even 4 hours a day throughout the summer. What would that look like financially?
Where do you find the student that's only going to work only for
Yeah,
4
That's gonna
hours a
work
day?
4 hours a day, you know.
That's not going to happen, you're
Has
going
to
to
be
be a full-time position.
position.
A
Yeah, go ahead.
seasonal kid cost is just over $9,000 a season, not counting holiday pay and any
Okay.
other CPP, EI, all that stuff, so
So it's
probably
maybe
$10,000.
10 grand.
Could
For
we,
each individual
For each
student.
student.
Yeah, the mayor has a comment.
could we possibly put an appeal on our website and through all the media that we have for volunteers, if we had 2 or 3 that could share the load and be willing to be trained to cover during the summer for the shortage, maybe that's the only way we can do it. We say it's hard to find volunteers, but maybe let's try to go with other people we know, and let's put it on a website, let's do it this way, and try to find that position that you need. Obviously, we have no money this year, so let's try to find a better solution at this point to fill the gap. And if we able to do it, even ourselves, if we're willing to give a little bit of our time as a substitute, would not be the whole summer, but if we could offer a few hours each of us, I think we could help. I mean, if we have a problem, if we feel it's a problem, then we have to give service.
Yeah.
Well, I think the general opinion is that if you become a museum help or hired staff, that you're going to stand there or sit there and have to wait for people to come in. While we got a lot of things that we could have a person doing, and once they get involved in it, I think they really get down to the wire.
Yeah.
And that's the inputting.
But essentially, you need to present it in a way that doesn't frighten people.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Because too often you think, oh my goodness, I have no clue what's going on. So it has to be a volunteer, will be trained, will be shown, will be whatever, will be working in team. You know, I mean, you have to make it a little bit appealing, less frightening.
Yeah, that's right. One thing about the museum you have to understand, and Councillor Edmonds will understand this greatly, because there are so many hours that a museum has to be open per
In order
year.
to get a grant.
Not to get grants, to have their status.
Okay, all
To
right.
have the official
Museum
museum status, and it took a lot of time this year to get our status back.
Okay, but all that is information that the public needs to be given.
Yeah,
If we don't disseminate that information, then apathy reigns.
yeah.
Yeah, well, I feel like the mayor's solution is our only recourse for this year, but I think going forward, you know, when we budget for next year, we should take a very serious look at you know, making that museum more of a showpiece, because you're right, if it's not open, it's a non-entity in our community, so like I say, going forward, you know, I think we really do need to at least look seriously about something on that, but I think, like I say, the mayor's suggestion is our recourse for this year, as far as I can tell. I mean,
Councillor, I would like to see some way all of our activities have got a museum component in it. The powwow could have a museum component in it. The Chautauqua's going to have a museum component in it. You know, July 1st could have a museum component. We have a Remembrance Day component in the museum. I'd like to see somehow all of our events involve our community buildings, especially the museum.
well, I know I was, you know, in briefing for this meeting, I was just suggesting to Jeff that, you know, we all sit on various committees, and I just tossed out the idea, maybe we have to, at one point in the year, have a strategic planning where we just bring in all of our committees, like, because Communities in Bloom, part of their mandate is historical, part of their mandate, you know, is environmental. So there, you know, there's overlap in all of our committees, and maybe if we was to, you know, even, you know, economic development, you know, overlaps a lot of these things as well. Maybe we have that strategic planning and bring all the committees together and figure out how we man, you know, put the manpower where it's needed. And, you know, I think the museum is one of the areas where we need some manpower. Yeah, Dave?
I'll move to extend the meeting till 9.
Oh, thank you, Dave. All in favor?
Okay,
Knew we would get
last
there.
extension, guys.
So, yeah, I don't know if we can say any more on the
No.
museum, but
That's it all.
thank you. Appreciate that.
If I may,
Yeah.
I would move to recommend to council,
Mhm.
recommend to administration to advertise that through our town information and really help drum up some volunteers this year for the
Okay.
Historical Society.
And
All right.
to put a little bit of
Well,
description.
And I think you need
Job
to
description.
include the Historical Society, the board, that, to talk to them about how they would like us to participate and help them, you know, let them,
Yeah.
They are their own
The
entity.
drivers.
yeah, they are, and we just let them know that
We
we're
would be
willing
respectful to
to
do that.
support them and help them in advertising, trying to get some volunteer help.
Okay, so-
And see how they would like us to help them.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So Councillor Peavoy's motion is to recommend that the town and administration support the Historical Society
To contact,
in advertising through our various media sources to get volunteers and explain it, and also you could use our historical people to have input maybe into that advertising on what training and things like that could be required, I suppose. That would be
I don't think
friendly.
maybe, I think we require
Well, you
that
would,
they
okay.
give us
They give you-
their input.
That's
Yeah,
my
but-
motion.
That's-
Yes.
Okay, thank you, that was good. Okay, all in favor of that? Thank you, okay, good. I'm trying to think if we have to cover everything in detail
well,
here.
we only have 2 items.
Well, some of these aren't too long. I
Mayor's
think
Corpus.
let's do, yeah, the MGA amendments, there's, yeah,
Mayor's
we could go
Let's go through this.
quite a few things on that. I'd like to come back to that one in a minute.
Charging station's gonna take us.
How long are you going to take on?
5 seconds.
I mean, you wanted to do, everybody wanted to do a report on that.
Well, you can write a report.
No, you go ahead.
For the report.
So,
Just do your report.
Yeah, so just a couple of points.
Let's do that.
Number one, that came up from the meeting, next year is an anniversary year for Crown of the Continent. I believe it was 10 years. I don't have my notes right here with me.
10
but
years.
10 years with Crown of the Continent. And the communities in the Crown are kind of doing a big deal with that. It'll be our second year Chautauqua. It'll be, is it the 15th year of Alberta Southwest? Or maybe it's vice versa. Anyway, so there's a number of anniversaries that are all culminating, and they're looking for information from the town as to what they can advertise on our behalf to really encourage people to get out here. They're going to do a big push to bring people to the Crown. So just be thinking about that kind of thing, and we can have a Crown of the Continent kind of theme with everything we do, at this being the 10-year for them. The second item that came up, and this was a big deal, in light of the fires up in Fort McMurray, is that the group from High River actually learned all about economic recovery after a crisis, and that the time to prepare for economic recovery
now.
is before you have the crisis. So they were encouraging municipalities to send officers or economic development officers, like if you've got one or a councillor or whatever, to go and get some training and really make sure that's reflected in the policies and in the disaster plan, in your disaster plan. Because most disaster plans do not include an economic recovery where you're hanging the shingle back up that says you're open again for business. And you want that as quickly as you can. And that actually led to a conversation around the table about economic development officers, and you know, so we'll look into that a little further. The last piece, which is here in our packet, was an invitation that council send a representative to a little education piece in Pincher Creek on June 21st. That's a Tuesday for lunch, and it's all about electronic vehicle charging stations and how those can be kind of an economic draw to your area, to your local area. I was joking that it would be fitting to have an electronic vehicle charging station down at the Remington. They could park it there, charge it up, and go in and tour the buggies, but which is kind of ironic. But anyway, just kind of some thoughts might be worth our community specifically, just being on this, between the two parks. Our community is perfectly centered between Waterton and, of course, you know, down in the States there. And it would be a good spot to have a charging station here, to host one, and just be on that map saying, oh, there's one in Cardston, why don't we stop there? Why don't we get, you know, whatever. So,
Quick question, Councillor. On those charging stations, is it a pay per
Yes.
user thingy?
there's a little bit of pay.
Well, it depends how fast you charge.
Right,
Yeah.
it takes a
If you
little
have
time.
a slow 3 hours, it's a one rate. If you get the top of the line where you can charge within an hour and a half, you pay a lot more.
Okay.
And it's always nice to have them in commercial stores, like Councillor Bengry said, it'd be better to put planted over on Main Street, so they have to walk up and down our business corridor. Either way, I mean, they're here for an hour. It'd be good to be a place that has the service. So we don't know what it involves. We don't know how much it costs. It might be worth sending someone. So,
Find out.
yeah, I don't know if this council wants to pursue and send someone there. It's just a recommendation.
Are you interested in going to
You should-
that?
you could be the one.
Can make that work. I personally can go and do that, unless someone else would rather go and learn more about it. I can come back and give a report, someone else can, either way.
Okay.
It's up in picture.
All right,
Well, we can put a motion to recommend that Councillor Peavoy go to the Pincher Creek, June 23rd electronic station.
21st, so it's Tuesday, we don't have a council meeting. that night.
21st?
That
21st,
do
I
we?
thought I heard 23rd.
June 21st?
Yeah.
No,
there's
that's
council
28th.
meeting, so
All
it's-
right.
So it's
28th
not
is our
a,
council
To
meeting.
the electronic station awareness
Yeah.
seminar.
So did you just make the motion?
yes, you did.
Okay. That was settled. All in favor? Thank you. Okay. I'm just going to make a quick report on the Communities in Bloom cleanup day. Because of other cleanups, we moved it to this Saturday, 9 o'clock in front of the Civic Center. I will have garbage bags, and I'll have a sign and a map, and people can come and pick up a garbage bag and basically assign themselves to an area in the downtown core they would like to help clean up. We want to be done before noon, so we're not, don't want to take people's day, but 9 to noon. So if you know anybody or if you're available to come and help that time, that's basically all that's about, to give back to our town. And I'll try to put something on community area discussions. I put something on the garden growers, inviting people to it. I'll put something on community area discussions as well, inviting people. I think the town is going to put it in their municipal pages.
I'm not sure.
You're not sure? I hope
Did you
that-
talk to Shem?
I talked to, Tara, at our Communities in Bloom meeting, so.
Shem would be the one that
But,
needs
I'll talk to her tomorrow.
check, if you could just put that in your notes, make sure they are covering that for Saturday. Okay, now, on the,
reports of arms.
yeah, now, I wonder if we could just defer that discussion just to another meeting?
Which one?
On the coat of arms?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
would be okay. Now, because I'd like to go back to the MGA amendments, and I don't think we can get through the whole item on that.
There's a bunch of real fast things here that
Okay.
if we go through them.
But let's go through the pertinent ones, if you can.
Can I just
Yeah,
mention?
Mayor.
I'm going to Olds, and there is a mayor's caucus coming up next Wednesday. And so I will be there, and there are some questions that I had regarding some of those issues, especially with the intermunicipal plan. And I also would like to understand how the services between two municipalities will be kind of looked at, shared. The formulas that would be used is that using depreciation, no depreciation, amortization, or whatever you want to call it, and to try to understand what will be regulated, or if that's going to be left to each municipalities. So that was definitely one area that I feel we need to have better guidance regarding that MG. Because otherwise, everybody can interpret it the way they want. And for us, for example, if no depreciation is included, here is a danger. You have a building that falls apart, needs to be redone, but all of a sudden, you have no money in a kitty, and you have no commitment of your partner to agree to rebuild. So you can find yourself without anything. So I want to try to understand how they intend to bridge the gap, because that's a serious gap. You may find yourself with no possibility financially to rebuild because of no commitment.
So, yeah, so that was one on the intermunicipal funding
Right,
agreements. And
so that's one of the
the-
issues
yeah,
that I will bring
They're
forward.
putting it into the MGA,
That's
if you would like a little more
Measure
defined. And that's.
Mayor's at the MD.
That's for the mayor's
Mayor-
caucus.
The mayor's caucus. So, and Jeff gave us this other paper with other questions. And
That's
I
very
didn't-
good.
I didn't even get time to read.
Yeah, no, I don't expect, what that is AUMA went through and said, when you go to your respective regional meetings and open houses, these are the questions from AUMA we'd like you to pose.
Yeah,
Right.
Now, you will find that the first one echoes what the mayor just said,
right.
was defining the mortgage. So I think you might, I would say, read that over, and if you have questions that were addressed there, then have the mayor take them.
Mhm.
Right. If you feel there is something in particular that you
Yeah, we could email.
want to be clarified, send me an email,
Right.
put the CC to Jeff.
That's coming up soon. We also have the
It's
meeting in
next week.
July, which,
Yeah.
where we meet with the
Yeah.
ministers in Lethbridge.
What day is that, the meeting in July?
Is it the 5th?
I'd have to go back to the
It
last
is the
agenda and see
I
it.
thought it was the 15th.
15th.
That sounds right.
15th of July, right?
Yep.
I thought so, yeah. So, anyway, we can keep that, and if we need to,
Yep.
Jeff, bring this, some of this back to a council meeting
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
discuss
it's
further.
Friday the 15th.
We can do
I'm
that.
pretty sure.
It is.
Next Tuesday, in fact, you could bring it forward.
So, yeah, we
Maybe
can
one
do
day
that.
before.
And maybe if we could do the discussion on the coat of arms, do we need a motion to defer that or to table that till next
No.
council meeting?
No, I can just put it on
Just put it on the
future
agenda, okay.
CCW or future agenda.
Okay, so let's,
Actually, I won't go CCW because you're next week, this is September.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, so
We could.
let's, but we can
Right.
discuss it to council.
Yeah, you have a big agenda next Tuesday too.
Do we?
so-
Good luck, Mayor.
thank you.
At least you'll be in better voice than I've been.
Well, we appreciate your effort.
Apologize for my interruptions all through the meeting. Correspondence, 2016 Summer Games, inviting the mayor to attend the opening ceremonies.
Now, are you planning on going to that? I went
Yeah,
last time.
I think I will go
Okay.
this year, seems to be okay with me.
Okay, good.
It was July
It's on July the 6th.
the 6th, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You'll need to walk with the athletes in the parade.
Yeah, it would be kind of fun to
That'd be
do.
good, okay, thank you, appreciate it. So we have an invitation from our MLA Grant Hunter to have the open house or the grand opening of his new constituency office in Tabor. So I guess if anyone is interested, we can just go. I mean, there's no...
They want RSVPs, but we can do it, or you just let them know.
Oh, okay, so...
It's on the letter that they want.
Yeah, so we let them know. All right, Alberta Seniors and Housing, basically it was the Senior Week, which is this week, so we don't have any time to make a proclamation, but
But-
We advertise, we put the posters up.
Let me tell you, I went to the lodge, I was invited to the little lodge, so I had breakfast with the seniors. There is seniors luncheon on, senior supper on Thursday. The only trouble is I cannot participate. So if one of you is there, and if they wanted to say 2 words on behalf of mayor and councillor, by all means.
this is on what?
She's eyeing you up, Councillor
It's on
Edmonds.
Thursday.
Thursday.
She was eyeing you up for that one.
Because he normally goes to the...
Oh, he'd be going to that one, I'm not going to that one, so.
Okay, so maybe if you want, bring greetings and congratulations for the wonderful seniors that we have in our town and how that contributed to our town and its growth and its life.
The seniors bocce ball group,
Yes, they still want something, don't they?
no, but they were told to move from where they were.
They were in the middle of the outfit.
They're in the middle of the outfield, they're
During
involved
summer
in, they should
games.
never have been there.
Yeah.
So they want to
Youth
know
days.
where you would like us to be.
Randy,
And the other problem.
I know what's going on there because I'm involved in it. Randy and I have looked at a spot where
How can
we could
do it?
potentially build a permanent bocce ball place for them. And so Randy and I have got it figured out, we've told them, they seem to be happy with that. For the time being, it's gonna go back to where it was, in that middle
In between the
area
two
there, in
fields, yeah.
between there. Yeah.
The other problem is seniors need the bathroom about every 2 hours.
Well, this location.
This
in
location would be a
proximity to
lot better.
Washington.
Has Randy talked to you?
Yeah, he told me today.
And we need to look at seniors grants and see what they can do to participate, to help out.
But the problem is, can we make sure that those are open?
Well, they can have a key, I
Is this
suppose,
up on
can't
the
they?
town square, or?
They usually are during the day.
It's one of the,
They go pretty early too.
Well, they're not open right now because they're not working.
yeah, well, but we didn't know that.
Yeah.
So the person then had to go from the place downtown.
They're not working because they need repair, or?
The sewer line collapsed, as a matter of fact, in light of all of our conversations, so, yeah. You'll see major excavation all the way up around that whole thing to replace that sewer line next week.
No.
Get rid of the clay tile?
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right, yeah.
Okay.
Mandatory upgrades.
Yeah.
Well, you can give them the good news.
Yeah,
Okay, thanks, Councillor.
We're working on it.
And so the last correspondence is just a thank you letter from the elementary school for our letter of support for
Yeah.
their playground grant, and
I was adjourned.
I'm done.
I move to adjourn.
Thank you.
Mayor,
We'll take that tomorrow. or
Have you got
Councillor
August
Barfuss,
13th down on your schedule?